I am paging Dr. Chanda.
I am the
Dr. Chanda.
And I'm a licensed clinical psychologist.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Paging Dr. Chanda podcast, all things related to the Black culture.
Revolt. The doctor in front of your name.
What's up, family? It is Dr. Chanda. Tune in for another episode of Paging Dr. Chanda. All you have to do is keep watching. But listen, if you're just watching from the outside, just peeking through the window, I need you to commit. Come all the way in the house, and I need you to subscribe, like, and shoot me a comment in the comment section. I love responding to all of your comments. I love listening and reading how much you guys enjoy the topics that I'm talking about. So yeah, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, and join the tribe.
Stop scrolling for 1 second. This month, we are bringing back the psychology of Black women, the online class brought to you by yours truly, Dr. Chanda, licensed clinical psychologist. Y'all, I've been getting so many questions about why anxiety and depression presents differently in Black women. What do we do about it? How can we start to combat this? And what are some of the reasonings behind it? Listen, if you are a Black woman who has questions about anxiety and depression, it's something you experience or something your loved ones experience, or if you're a professional who works with Black women who experience anxiety and depression, I promise you this class is for you. Make sure that you sign up today.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Paging Dr. Chanda show. I am your host, Dr. Chanda Reynolds, licensed clinical psychologist. And this week, I have an amazing guest with us today. Before we start, I have a brief introduction that I whipped up before Mr. Smiley joined. Hold on, let me get my notes out. Today's guest is a definition of multifaceted. You may know him as the comedic genius who had us rolling for decades, or as the voice of the public, the voice of the people. See, I got sloppy hand. That's that doctor's handwriting. The voice of the people on his nationally syndicated morning radio show. From his acting career to his work in the community and giving back to youth, it's all been a part of his story for decades. And now he's a best-selling author. And y'all, he is here with us today. Y'all, please give it up for Rickey Smiley. Thank you so much, Mr. Smiley, for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm proud and honored to be on your show.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Listen, you've literally been in this industry for longer than I've been alive. And I want to hop into your story a bit. And I always like to start out with the humble beginnings. So what was it like you getting started in the comedic industry in your early days?
I started November the 13th, 1989.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was the first time I went on stage open mic night at the Comedy Club in Birmingham, Alabama. And in 4 months after that, I was got my first gig as an opening act. I started opening shows and hosting shows at the Comedy Club. Then I became a middle act, which is a feature act. And then later on down the line, after a few television appearances, I started headlining. So, that was a long time ago.
Wow. Wow. So you literally had like a journey that was just full of so many amazing things. Like I remember growing up just watching Comic View with my parents and just seeing Rickey Smiley on TV, making the whole world laugh. I wonder what was that experience like for you being able to get to do that in your lifetime?
Oh, that was a dream gig. I just recently did an interview with Kevin Hart, and everybody, all comics back then, in the 90s, early 2000s, knew that if you got a chance to host Comic View, that put you on national television Monday through Saturday. I mean, on prime time on BET. And it's so funny. A lot of y'all be talking about, we used to watch Comic View when we were supposed to be asleep. Y'all up sneaking, watching BET. You supposed to be in the bed.
We were sneaking. And it was on Saturday night. We were supposed to be asleep before church in the morning. So we was definitely sneaking.
y'all up watching Lil Daryl and Bernie Jenkins and all of that crazy. That
Precious.
Come on now. Yeah, that was a fun time. That was a wonderful opportunity. I worked really, really hard, to get there. I had some good mentors, people like Steve Harvey, Rashawn McDonald, Cedric the Entertainer. Those are people that I admire, look up to. So, I was watching I just remember, the shows that I opened for the Kings of Comedy, watching DL and Bernie and Steve and Cedric. I was really, really inspired. I was around some great comics. So I wanted to be like them. So I kept fighting.
I think it's amazing how you give back. There's a saying like, as we reach forward, we reach behind us also to kind of like pull up other people. And it's like hearing about how you were poured into by all these amazing people, but you also make it a point to pour into other people. And I wonder, like, was that just like a life lesson, or is that something you saw from somebody else?
Yeah, you like pay it forward, because if somebody thought enough of you to help you, it's your responsibility to help someone else.
Absolutely.
And it's no problem me helping nobody else, because I'm very secure. I'm not threatened by nobody. As a matter of fact, I want you to be better than me. I want you to come and blow the audience up and make my job harder and make me go on stage and have to really work to get the audience back where you had them. I was never threatened or intimidated. It just made me a better comic when you got some, because some of those guys used to bring the heat. I'm talking about be real funny. Your butt is backstage and you nervous. Can I bring that same energy? But that stuff don't do nothing but make you a better performer. But it's important to pour into young comics, and that's one thing that they don't really do a lot anymore. This is what young comics have told me, that nobody's reaching back, advising and helping. Like I would pull. Like I remember one time, and I hope nobody. I saw something that B. Simone did on stage that I thought that she could actually do better. And when she came off stage, I took her back in my dressing room and I got in her face. I said, "Look, here's how you could have done that." And I'll never forget it. The very next night, I think we were in Houston, and she did it exactly the way I advised her to do it. And I just remember standing on the side of the stage, jumping up and down, my fist balled up, and everybody's looking at me like, "Why you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I coached that. I coached that." And when she came off stage, she was high-fiving me. If I could be a comedy coach, because sometimes being on the side of the stage, you see things from a different perspective from younger comics, and you pull them to the side, and if they allow you to, which 99% of them, they'd be glad that the OG is speaking to them and speaking into their performance and giving them advice. So they really appreciate it, and I appreciate doing it.
Yeah. And you said like in the industry, it doesn't happen too often anymore. Why is that?
Well, correction is frowned upon. That's just today's society. Back in the day, you get cursed out for making certain mistakes on stage, from an older comic, and you just had to take it and do better, or if you want to keep your job for the weekend, so, some people just kind of keep it to themselves, and because they don't know what to say, because society is different now. But I say, "Hey, if you need some advice, let me know." I kind of start out like that. Yeah. What you think? I said, "Okay, well, since you asked, here's what I think you should do." And I explained it to them, and they really, really, really appreciate it. So, that's my job, because man, I was trained. I'm a trained comic, and I was trained by other comics. So, one thing I use. Michael Jordan was probably one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but Michael Jordan had a coach.
Absolutely.
And Michael Jordan's coach had a coach. And if you don't have anybody to correct, or whatever, you're just going to kind of go, do things your way or whatever. But sometimes, when people set some boundaries for you and guide you in a certain direction, it's always helpful.
That's so important, because it makes me think about sayings that we have in my industry. So like as a psychologist, I wouldn't see a psychologist who didn't have one themselves.
Right.
Yeah, right. As
Absolutely.
a pastor, like I don't know if I can be under somebody who's not under the covering of somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm glad that, that definitely aligns. Going back to what you were saying. So like you gave this, you were able to coach B. Simone through this particular moment. And I wonder, like, did you ever have any experiences where a comedian was telling you like, "Look, you need to do this better," or like gave you that moment?
Man, George Wallace cursed me out so bad.
Really?
What
What was that like?
I was scared. I'm not, and George Wilder's about 6'3" or 6'4".
Oh, word.
And that was back in the 90s. George Wallace was built up like my granddad. Like what? Nah, George Wallace, like, don't you ever go behind me, and because once the headliner
Right.
go off stage, then you just go up and say, "Hey, thank y'all for coming out. Here's
Exactly.
who's coming next week." You don't go up and
Close
perform
the
behind
show.
them. They
Right.
close the show. I didn't know any better. I'm trying to show that I'm do my thing. Man, George Wallace said, "I made one phone call, your career be over."
Oh.
And then, you know what's so funny? George Wallace is one of my best friends to this day.
Wow.
He trying so hard to act like he don't remember that. I don't remember. I didn't say that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I didn't say that. I don't know what you're talking about. And by the way, you're ugly. You ain't funny.
But we need those like career defining moments that help keep us in line.
Absolutely. I remember I got sent home one night. I didn't actually get sent home. Steve told me to wear a suit tomorrow because you need to start dressing better. And I brought him up on stage, and I peeled out of that parking lot and went and changed clothes right then. I'm not waiting till tomorrow. I got those. I took it serious.
Clothes in the car?
No, I drove all the way across town, went back to my little apartment, pulled out a suit, and I was running out there because I had to get back to close the show. So I had at least 45, maybe 50 minutes. And man, and the minute I ran in that comedy club, he was saying, "Thank y'all, good night." And when I came back up on stage with that suit on, he gave me a look and he took me serious. And that led to me doing some shows with the Kings of Comedy. And it led to me having my own morning show, which I got from him, that was passed from him. The morning show that I have was passed from Steve. So sometimes, absolutely, I got cursed out before I got the radio show. Steve was like, "You need to come to Dallas." I'm like, "Nah, I just bought a house in Birmingham." And his bodyguard, Boomerang, called me back. He said, "If you don't have your ASS on that plane by tomorrow, we ain't blanking with you no more." And he hung up in my face. And I got on a plane and flew to Dallas the next day, and I cried all the way because I felt changed. I felt like I was going to end up with that position. I was like, I had just got custody of my son, and how was I going to? I had to figure all of that out, but I went and I got the job, and that being on the radio in Dallas expanded just in, to me being on the radio everywhere. We got syndicated. And if I had not made that decision or whatever, and ended up with the decision that was more comfortable, because the state, getting out of your comfort zone. Oh, we can have a whole nother conversation about that.
Yeah.
Because if I would have went to work for that company where it was more comfortable, I would have made less money, and they ended up firing all of the people that worked there anyway.
Wow.
That's true. I went over here, and in order to, you have to go in order to grow. You know what I mean? Get out of your comfort zone. Yeah, because a plant that's in the house, you can go and grab and pull that plant up, but you can't do that with a tree out in your backyard, because that tree is dealing with fall, it's dealing with the spring, it's dealing with the winter and all of the elements. And you can't see that plant on Google, but if you zoom in close enough, you can see that particular tree. And sometimes you have to go and get out of your comfort zone in order to grow. That's real talk. And I'm telling you from experience. I went to Dallas. My grandmother had died. I went to Dallas like, where am I going to eat Sunday dinner? That meant a lot, going over your grandmother's house after church, having Sunday dinner. And God was like, "Okay, you just go over here to South Dallas Cafe or whatever." And I went in there. I'll never forget walking in there. And the lady that worked there was like, "Don't worry about nothing. We're going to give you your meal for free, and welcome to Dallas. We love you." And every single senior citizen that was at those tables looked like a splitting image of my grandmother and grandfather. And I had some oxtails, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, and cornbread, and was happy. And everybody was hugging on me and was nice to see, nice to see you. Like, it was like God was like, "Here's where you belong. You got a lot of work to do. We got some things for you to do in the community. And this is a stepping stone for you to go to the next level. Man,
Yeah.
I can do a whole book on just that.
We waiting for it. I'm over here about to have a whole Baptist fit because you're
Oh,
preaching
yeah.
about like just operating outside of your comfort zone in order to
Right.
experience the growth that God has for us.
Yeah, it's resistance.
Yeah.
You know, it's resistance. Resistance is what make you stronger. And don't think it wasn't easy when I got to Delta. I dealt with a lot of adversity. I had a program director that was working against me, and I dealt with a lot of stuff. I had to learn a certain level of professionalism. I remember getting suspended for something. I got into it with somebody at the station, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna let you just take a couple of days off." And I remember one time I was going to quit, and Tom Joyner had found out, and he came over there and got in my face. He said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "Don't nobody walk away from no job." He said, "You need to calm down. And I understand you want to be an activist, but you got to deal with certain stuff." I'll never forget that. And I'm still close to Tom to this day. Whenever I'm in Florida, I always go over his house like a little kid and just be happy to swim in the swimming pool in his backyard
I
while
love
he
that.
while he sit up there and drink that 1849 and smoke a little something. But yeah, man, all of that stuff that I went through just made me a better businessman, made me better at business, making business decisions, and I'm just real careful as to how I manage and handle certain things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love how you were talking about family and how that contributed to a major part of the decisions that you made. I'm wondering, has family and fatherhood, has that ever like impacted career and life in general?
Yeah, family keep, when you really into your kids, that keep you out of a lot of trouble because you don't have time. You're trying to go home to your kids.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I'm
sure.
saying? You got to cook, you have to wash clothes, you have to go up to the school, you have school programs. So that keep you out of the club and keep you out of certain environments or whatever, because you got to be careful because you can't die because your kids need you. So you making a lot of decisions based off of the fact that I have kids that need me and I need to be here and they don't need me in jail or nothing. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So I have to carry myself a certain way. Really
Almost
important.
like it, say that again.
Really important.
Yeah. Almost like it gives you a different sense of purpose.
Hmm.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to, and then you have to grind for them because you have to realize that they going off to college. Not only have I raised kids, I raised nieces and nephews. There's a lot of kids. I had a frat brother to get killed. Raised both of his sons. One was 8 when his dad got killed, and the other was going to the 9th grade. And I had a church member that became my niece. Her mom died when she was in the 8th grade. She was in my daughter's Sunday school class. And I stood on stage a lot of nights to make sure all these kids was educated and had what they need or whatever. Ooh, you want me to show you a real flex?
Let's do it.
Let me show you. Let me show you something. I'm gonna show you how serious I am when it comes to stuff like that. I'm outside of the box with everything. Don't have to
Come
be.
on, let's do it.
Let me show you something. I want to show you something. I'm so proud of this. Look, see that?
That is amazing.
That's my nephew TJ, Miles College.
Oh,
That's
wow.
Portia, Clark Atlanta
From Clark.
University.
Okay, Clark.
That's Terrell. That's Middle Tennessee State University.
Wow.
That's my daughter, member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Okay, soror.
Come on, there's your soror. Look at that. It's Baylor
Yes.
University. That's my niece Genesis, Alabama State University.
Come on.
That's my daughter DeEssence, Tennessee State University. And that's my son Malik Smiley, who's in grad school right now, Alabama State University. And this is my nephew Delta getting his master's degree, Alabama State University. And that's a whole wow.
That is so dope.
Right
Listen, it's
there.
more degrees than a thermometer on that wall. Like it's degreed up.
And look at that.
Okay, so he plays ball. Malik plays ball.
He balled at Alabama State.
Wow.
So I had 3 college athletes come out of my house. My 2 nephews, one played basketball, one played football. So they had a great childhood. It was a pleasure raising them, and I
Yeah,
still got some younger nephews. I'm waiting for them to graduate college, and so I'm excited about adding more
as you
degrees
should
to the
be.
wall. Yeah.
As you should be. As you should be.
Thank you for letting me show that to you.
Yeah, that's dope. You inspired me because I need to put some stuff on some plaques on my walls. I love that.
Yeah, take a picture of those degrees and take it to CVS and tell them to put it on canvas so you can
Yes.
flex.
Come on. Put it right behind me.
There you go. There you go.
So I love how invested you are in your family and even being a father figure to your children, your nieces and nephews. That's amazing and very commendable. And I kind of want to segue into talking about a tremendous loss that you experienced about a year and a half ago. If you can kind of like walk us through that moment when you found out and what that was like for you.
Yeah, I actually thought that it was my son calling me, but it was his girlfriend calling me from his phone because we had been estranged because dealing with addiction, comes with a certain behavior.
Yeah.
And so that had me at a distance with him for a while. And it was his girlfriend. She was crying, saying that he had OD'd and he was on his way to the hospital. So I'm calling my sister and trying to get a flight from Dallas to Birmingham. They had a flight leaving within the hour, and I was packing the backpack. I was on my way. Before I got out, got my backpack packed real good. The phone rang again, and it was this girl. It was my son's sister, and they were in the car crying. And I knew right then. They said that he didn't make it.
Mm,
And it was crazy because I had to call all of my kids in a calm voice,
yeah.
let them know what had happened. My niece and my mom had already made it to the ER. I had called them. They had made it to the ER. And I had to tell my mother, who was outside in the waiting room in the ER. I had to call my mom. I had to call my niece to let them know that he didn't make it. I had to call my daughters to let them know, and I had to call my son and tell him to calmly drive home, meet me at the house. I was on my way, and I said, I didn't say the word die, I just said he didn't make it. Do you understand? I need you to be calm, and I need you to make it home safe. I had to give specific directions. I had to lead, because there was a family crisis. So I didn't get an opportunity to feel and to grieve that day. Because I had to lead. I had to get my family together and get them under one roof and get everybody calm. And I remember the flight. I remember the man that was sitting behind me talking, showing me pictures of his family and his phone. I never told him what I was dealing with, but I think that was God's way of keeping my mind occupied,
Okay.
until I got home, because I knew once I got off that plane, I knew that it was going to be like a hurricane of phone calls and text messages and people panicking and crying. It was a bad time.
Absolutely.
And
And
I made it home, and I just went step by step, day by day. We had to plan everything, to plan his homegoing service. It was a lot of stuff that I had to deal with.
in that moment when you found out, did it feel real or like when I hear these accounts, and even in my own experience, the first day never felt real. It was like the day after.
Oh, it definitely felt real,
Okay.
because I was kind of prepared for it, because I knew what was out there
Yeah.
versus what he was doing.
Okay.
And I knew I had already lost a niece and a nephew who was also age 32 within a year and a half
Wow.
before he
That's
died.
so young.
And as a matter of fact, my pastor's daughter died at age 32.
Oh my goodness.
So there's 3 people died at the age of 32. So I'm looking around like, oh yeah, this is real. I knew it was real then. And I was shocked but not surprised, but then I was surprised and not shocked.
Yeah.
It's like you
Yeah.
almost could never be ready, but you knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
You felt it was coming. You knew what the risk was. You knew what was out there. And yeah, that happened. I had already sat my kids down a year before it happened, told them that this might be coming to prepare themselves.
Mm.
You
So
know,
your
because
family was prepared.
my kids
Yeah.
was, I don't know how prepared they was, but that was a conversation that we had. I told them that it was coming.
Okay.
And you know, people, you know, church folks said putting words out there, you know, I just feel like if you walking across the street, eventually you're gonna get hit by a car if you don't stop walking across the street.
Mm.
You know, I just had to pray for him, ask God to cover him, ask God to protect him.
Absolutely.
And I did everything I could as a father to save his life. I've been dealing with that for 11 years. And I had got in a space where it got really, really bad. And I just had to protect my own peace.
Absolutely.
And I had to distance myself. And like my grandma used to say, you have to turn them over to the hands of the Lord. Now that's what older people in the South said, you know, would say back in the day. And everything was just lining up for him to go, you know, by everything what was happening. So yeah, that was a rough time. It felt real. Uh One time after everybody had left and you in the house by yourself, you was able to feel it a little bit, but that 1 year anniversary is when I really felt it. That
Mhm.
1 year,
Mhm.
that 1 year anniversary, I really felt it. And that was probably the worst time when I sat in here and just cried and was just depressed. No, I wasn't even here. I felt it. I felt it coming. So I went to Florida. I found a little place in Florida, and I just wanted to stay in Florida for the first few months of that year. I didn't want to be in my house.
Mhm.
And that was probably the worst time of my whole life.
Okay. But I also feel like it's healthy that you were able to recognize like, okay, I feel this coming along. Let me
Mhm.
take myself out of this house and go somewhere else and give
Yeah,
myself the space to grieve.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was a terrible time. And then a lot of stuff is just a perspective. Man, when you start thinking about all the other people that have lost kids at age 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I met a couple in New Orleans that lost their 2-year-old son
Oh
that
my God.
drowned. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Yeah.
You meet people that have lost 2 kids. Met a lady in Nashville that lost a husband and a kid.
Mm.
And my book signings have become really, really heavy because it's packed with people that have
Have
kids
no
that was
idea.
either murdered or
Yeah.
died or and you have to take extra time, an extra few seconds to hug and love on those people because these are women and I'm a man. I'm
Mhm.
a man feeling all this. I just can't imagine you carrying a child for 9 months and had to bury them also, especially the ones that had daughters that died.
Yeah.
I had a lady, I performed in DC and I was talking about my book, and she came up to me and she hugged me. She said, "I lost my only daughter," and that almost wiped me out. And that's some of the things that keep me doing what I'm doing right now, because it's not just about you; it's bigger than you. You got to think about other people and use that book as a tool to
Yeah.
help other people properly grieve, because a lot of people won't talk about their kids' death. And them coming to my book signing and getting their book signed and taking a picture, that's the first time, the beginning for a lot of them to
Mhm.
open up and talk about how they feel and their struggles and, you know, their grief.
Yeah. And that's why I love everything that you're doing because you're almost grieving out loud, grieving publicly, and allowing people to see the process. And as a black man, like that's so commendable because oftentimes black men are taught to keep it inside and to suck it up. So I love what you're doing. Even thinking about, my own experience with grief, like my mother passing and my dad having to
I hear
walk
that.
through. Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. Oh, that's how I'm tearing up as you're talking about it, but I know it's healthy. But even hearing about your experience and just grieving out loud, really just kind of like letting my dad know because he's very old school, like you can cry, like you don't have to keep it in and nobody's going to judge you for it. And that's why I love everything about what you're doing.
We got to tell Black men that it's okay to sit down and cry.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
when I tell you I sit down and
Yes.
cry, I can see the cries still in the walls.
Yeah.
I have a certain spot that I sit in my house when I want to cry. And it's like releasing the cap off of a pressure cooker
Hmm.
because it just releases it. Like you have to release that. You can't let it build up because it'll make you sick. And then we got to promote people going to therapy. There's a stigma in the
Yes.
Black community that you just turn it over. God created therapists for us, right? When you roll your ankle, you don't pull out a Bible. You get up and go and hop to the doctor. And the
Exactly.
brain is a muscle, just like your ankle. And why can't we, figure out how to go and get help for our mind? Somebody like yourself that's professionally trained to help us process those feelings, because you can go into a deep state of depression and then you start your brain start to affect other organs in your body. A lot of people don't survive grief. A lot of people die themselves after they lose a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be real careful. I'm definitely been promoting people to go to therapy and get the help that they need. And a lot of therapists been showing up to some of my book signings, and I've been having them volunteer and take on some of the tasks because I'm unable to keep in touch with every single person that I meet that have lost a child. Just making sure that they have resources, as they read the book and open up and have
Yes.
somebody that they could make an appointment with and just do what they need to do. But it's
Yes.
some sad stuff out here and all. We just don't hear about it. You would not believe how many people have lost their kids that's in all these different cities. And I've been on a major book tour, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, grief is definitely very complex. And even thinking about your story and how you felt it was important to write this book, to grieve
Mhm.
out loud, and not just do that, but to do it from a faith-based angle, like showing people like, look, I have a foundation of faith, and this is also helping me to get through the grieving process. Why was that important for you to incorporate that into the book?
Oh, it's important because people must understand when you don't have nobody else to lean on, and as a matter of fact, when you lose your grandmother, you might lean on God, but when you lose a child, God is actually carrying you.
Yes.
It ain't no way
Yes.
on this earth that you can lean on nothing. When somebody that used to suck their thumb sleeping up on the other side of the bed with you on the nights it was thundering and lightning, you see their body laying on a slab in a morgue.
Mhm.
Ain't no way. But God,
Yeah.
I'm talking about like totally carrying you. Like I asked God, like, God, if you just let me make it from the front door to the elevator in that apartment building in Dallas, I think I can gather enough strength to go from there. And I had to keep working because my son died on a Sunday. That Wednesday, I was back on the radio because
My
I don't
goodness.
want to lay in bed and just think about all this stuff. And I started thinking
Yeah.
about all the people, all the other people that have lost kids that depend on our morning show to get through. And I knew that they was concerned. I wanted them to hear me laugh. I wanted them to hear that I was okay or gonna be okay. I cried when I wanted to cry. I would cry during commercial break. I would do a gospel segment and just lay on the floor and just cry and get back up and read the commercial with tears. I would perform with tears coming down my eyes because my job is a comic. I'm still a comic. The bills don't stop coming just because somebody died. You got to keep working. You got to keep moving. You got to keep doing what you're doing. But I thank God that I had sense enough to go and get help because I was getting therapy twice a week. It was that bad.
Really.
Yeah.
That was nobody but God then. Nobody
Mhm.
but God. Yeah. What would you say is one thing you want people to take away from this book?
Um, just the fact of knowing that God is oh boy, I played that. I want you to play this and I want you to listen to this and think about when you lost your mother. I want you to listen to Milton Brunson.
Okay.
That song that Milton Brunson wrote, there will never be a friend like Jesus. And
Mm.
that song, that songs like that, and then songs like Jonathan McReynolds, God is good. May your bad days prove that God is good. That one song was in my head, man.
Yeah.
That song was in my head the minute My son's sister said to me what she said on the phone, and all I can do is hear Jonathan McReynolds. I can hear, you would have thought I had some earbuds on. It was just in my head.
Wow.
That's all I can hear. It was crystal clear. And that helped me move on to do what I had to do because I was by myself. I didn't have nobody to say it's okay. I was by myself packing a backpack to run to the airport. You know, um, I forgot what the question was.
That's okay.
Yeah,
What you want people to take away from the book, but I love where the direction you're going in.
yeah, God.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
God is real. You know,
Yeah.
God is a God of he's a healing God, he's a kind God, he's a just God, you know, and and he would get you through trials and tribulation. And he will send you, I talk about this in the book, he will send you beams of light through dark clouds.
Yeah.
Sometimes it be so dark you can't even see the
Yeah.
beams of light, but he gonna send all these little angels, people hugging you in the airport, like the lady worked at the funeral home. One of my high school classmates working at the funeral home. All these little things that just gave you so much comfort,
Comfort.
and with
Yes.
people hugging you at the airport.
Yes.
The lady at Home Goods coming from behind the counter just to give you a hug, and all the people hugging on you when you're walking through Walmart and Target, and just people just giving you a kind word and things that my pastor would say to me. You know, it was just a whole, God sent so many angels that I feel like they're angels that gave you so much comfort. Walking through, I never forget the few times walking through Atlanta airport, people were stepping out of line, going through TSA to come over and give me a hug. And some of them wouldn't even say a word. They just gave me a hug. And one lady whispered in my ear, she said, I know how you feel. I lost my daughter too. And we had both got out of line. She was in one line, I was in the other line. That lady just hugged me. And we was hugging each other so tight. And somehow it seemed like all the Black people that were standing in line knew what was going on. And they felt,
Wow.
you could see the look in everybody else's face. Nobody pulled out a phone. Everybody just kind of respected that that was a real genuine moment. And they knew what that hug was all about. And
A
it
God
was,
ordained moment. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
it was something. It was something. Something I'll never forget. I'm still processing. Still can't go to the cemetery, and I feel like if I go to the cemetery, I feel like I would literally pass away.
Mhm.
I can't even the thought of. I've seen a picture of my son's headstone, but I'm not. I'm just unable right now. I can't even. And I usually go to my grandmother's grave on her birthday. Now I just went thinking, he's buried next to her, next to my grandmother, and I just don't, no, I can't go anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, so, you know, I just I gotta figure it out. I got to gather up strength to go one day. But
And
I tell myself that nothing is there. My son is with God,
yes,
and
absolutely.
and I just lean on that.
Absolutely.
You know, so I don't push myself to go to the cemetery.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. Because I know a lot of people probably need to hear that because there is a level of guilt. And I'm one of the people because
Yeah.
I haven't went to the cemetery either since the day my mother was buried. I take the
How long
long way
has
to
your mother
church.
been passed away?
Yeah. So she passed about a year and a half ago.
Really?
Yes.
2023?
Yep. April 9th, 2023. Yes. And I take the long way to church because I'm just not going to drive past the cemetery if I ever need to go that way. Like, yeah.
Why? Wow. Now I'm about to start crying because
Yeah.
why I do the same thing. Why the cemetery is right by the airport,
Mhm.
and I got to go get on the plane. And I will not look over there. I look straight ahead and just look. If the cemetery is to your right, I just look to my left and just look straight ahead, turn the radio on or turn something on, hip hop or something, just where won't even feel,
Yeah.
um, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I totally understand that. I
Yeah.
totally understand. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah. I
And
appreciate it.
but let me give you this. Your mother is looking down on you and she is so proud of you and so proud of what you're doing and accomplishing. And we are so blessed to have had because you know, it's all about the perspective. You know, our family is with God. and we are down here doing what they would want us to do. We are down here, you know, you doing your podcast show, you interviewing guests, you helping people. This is what your mother raised you to do. You know what I'm saying? And she's in a better place. No more suffering, no more nothing. You know, and we will get to see them again. You know, death is not a period; it's a comma. And we just have to know that and trust God. But Regina King said it best. She said, the part that's just so hard to love just don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
And so just keep doing what you're doing and be encouraged or whatever, you know, God will see you through.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And sending the same to you. You got me all choked up on my own show.
Yeah.
Sending the same thing to you though.
That's what we have to. Ain't that something? We had the same coincidence. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like we not. And it's been like my son died maybe like 2.5 months before your mom passed. Like, that's what I'm saying. You just don't know what other people are going through. You don't know what other people are dealing with. My mother is still living, so I can't even tell you. I know how you feel. You know what I'm saying? Because it's different. You know, and most of my grief and my sadness was the fact that I had to tell my mother that my son died, because my mother's 35-year clean recovering addict, and she understood my son's struggle, so they was close. You know what I'm saying? And seeing my mom cry like that probably hurt more than the loss itself. You know what I'm saying? Because my job as a man is to protect my mother and my kids. That was my first priority. And you know, I'll never forget it. The trauma is still there. You know, I have to do these interviews. I've gotten used to talking about it. It's helping me sitting here having a conversation about it. It's helping. And even if I get off this interview and just go and cry for a minute or whatever, just to get it out, I'll get it out and I'll be fine. Then go to dinner with my friends, some of my frat brothers in town tonight or whatever. But I just have to do what I have to do. It's day by day.
Absolutely. And I think that's the most important part, like allowing ourselves to take it one day at a time and not rush the process. And that'll totally be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But Mr. Smiley, I do appreciate your time. I do appreciate you coming here being vulnerable. Like, this legit has been so like healing. It was very cathartic to be able to hear your story, and to also like it resonates a lot with everything that I'm going through personally in this moment. So thank you.
Yeah, you make sure you read that book. The name of the book is called Sideshow.
Yes.
Right? And you know where I got the name from, right? You know, remember the song Sideshow?
Yes.
Let the sideshow begin. Hurry, hurry, step right on in. Can't afford to pass it by, but guaranteed to make you cry. And you have to perform. You have to do your show. I have to perform. I have to do my show. Even with the hurt and the pain that we have inside, we got to put a smile on our face and continue to help others as we grieve ourselves. So it's like, come see us perform. You know, the sad is showing all the land, but we sad on the inside, but we got to put a smile on our face and continue to help us. But as we help people, God is helping us. So be encouraged and make sure you read the book. It's going to bless you. It's going to help you. And you're going to be able to release a little bit. It's going to get you closer to God, and it's going to keep you in therapy.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And to the listeners, make sure that y'all get Mr. Smiley's book so that you can laugh, cry, and be encouraged, y'all. And make sure you tune in next week to the Paging Dr. Chanda show on Fox Soul as well as on Revolt. And don't forget, y'all, you have the power to create the emotions that you want to experience.